Hey everyone, I'm here to talk about what writing can do for us. What is it? But this making a little magic in the mundane. How we take these moments, these scraps of everyday life, and shape them into something resonant, something real, something lovely. That's what we're talking about today. When I started writing this story, I knew I wanted rain, not a storm. Mind you, nothing dramatic, just a steady, gentle rain falling on a village nestled in the hills. Do you see how nice that feels to type gentle rain on a village? There's a calmness to it, a tranquility. And so I wanted to hold on to that feeling, let it envelop not just the setting, but the characters too. You notice I didn't say anything about plot here, did I? No mention of conflict or resolution or even much character development, because sometimes stories don't have to be about that, do they? Sometimes they can just be about the atmosphere, about the essence of a place, and the people who inhabit it. This is what I love most about writing. The freedom to explore, to meander, to discover. Think of those times when you've gotten lost in a book, not because the plot was confusing, but because you got so caught up in the rhythm of the prose, the cadence of the writing, the way the words danced on the page. You found solace in the very sound of the story. That's what I wanted to create here. Not a break from life, but a deepening of it. A reminder that life, like stories, doesn't always need grand gestures. Sometimes the quietest moments are the most profound. Take, for instance, the opening line of our story. The sky that morning was a pewter hush, dim with a kind of softness that promised rain without urgency. See how I focused on sensory details, trying to evoke a feeling more than set a scene. Pewter, dim, kind of softness. These aren't just words. They're invitations to experience the sky that morning. The word pewter conjures the color of a stormy sea, but also the heaviness of the air just before rain. Dim isn't just about the absence of light. It's about a certain mutedness of sound, a certain hush that settles over everything. And then there's kind of softness. Notice, I didn't say soft. I said kind of softness. It's a little jarring, isn't it? It makes you pause, just like that morning stretched low over the hills. And then there's the promise of rain. But notice I didn't say promised rain. I said promised rain without urgency. It's almost as if the sky itself is hesitant to let go of this softness, reluctant to rush into a downpour. I love how the phrase promised rain sounds. It has a lilting quality to it, like a half-remembered song. It's a wonderful example of what I've come to think of as poetic foreshadowing. It's not just about hinting at what's to come. It's about infusing the present moment with a sense of what might be. And the description of the village nestled between rolling green shoulders of land, a gentle patchwork of moss-covered rooftops, and narrow winding lanes. Can you feel the embrace of the hills? Can you hear the whisper of history in the worn cobblestones? This is what I love most about writing. The ability to make you, the reader, an active participant in the story. I'm not just telling you about a village. I'm inviting you to experience it. But let's move on to dialogue, shall we? Here's a small exchange between a boy and his grandfather. Do the snails like the rain? I think it's the only time they dance. Now, is there a deeper meaning here? Perhaps. But notice how these lines are simple, direct, and yet they carry a weight that goes beyond their literal meaning. The boy's question reveals his innocent wonder. The grandfather's response, a gentle nod towards appreciating the beauty of the everyday. It's a quiet communion between two souls, a sharing of observation and understanding. Dialogue like this reminds me of those precious moments in real life, when we stop to appreciate the little things, when we find joy in the smallest details of existence. And that's the beauty of writing, isn't it? The power to encapsulate those fleeting moments, to preserve them on the page, and share them with the world. Consider this passage. In this village, the rain was not interruption, but invitation. A bell from the old clock tower tolled once deep and sonorous. The sound floated like a memory across the wet rooftops, brushing against shutters and ivy, waking the hidden stories, resting behind the stones. Now, is there symbolism at play here? Of course, the bell, the tolling, the hidden stories. All of these elements invite interpretation. But notice how I've tried to infuse them with a sense of the everyday. The bell doesn't just toll. It does so with a deep and sonorous sound. The stories don't just rest. They do so peacefully, gently slumbering beneath the rain. It's this attention to detail, this grounding in the tangible, that I believe gives writing its depth. It allows readers to connect with the story on a more profound level, because they can see, hear, and feel the world you've created. And let's not forget the importance of pacing. The story unfolds slowly, allowing the reader to linger in each moment. We don't rush to conclusions. We savor the journey. The rhythm of the prose mirrors the rhythm of the rain, creating a lullaby-like effect that pulls you into its embrace. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but what about plot? Where's the conflict? The resolution? And here's where I want to challenge your thinking a bit. Stories don't always need conflict. Sometimes the absence of conflict is itself a story. Think about the moments in your own life when you've found peace amidst the chaos, when you've experienced a profound sense of belonging. This story is an ode to those moments, a celebration of the everyday. Some might call this slice of life writing. Others might label it magical realism. But to me, it's simply a love letter to existence, a recognition of the beauty that surrounds us, if we only pause to appreciate it. So, the next time you sit down to write, I encourage you to explore this vein of writing. Don't be afraid to delve into the quiet recesses of your characters' hearts. Don't shy away from the gentle cadences of the everyday. Let your words dance on the page, like raindrops on a thirsty earth. Who knows what kind of magic you might create? Thank you so much for listening and for joining me on this journey through the written word. Until next time, happy writing. I've never loved rainy days more than I did when I was young. There was always an adventure to be had, a puddle to splash in, a mud pie to mold. As we get older, rain can bring different feelings. Maybe it reminds us of a loss or a change. Maybe it evokes an intense longing for home. Maybe it doesn't evoke anything at all. Today I'd love to take a moment to celebrate the magic that happens when rain falls on our lives. What does it wash away? What does it awaken? And how does it affect those around us? Let's explore this together with our cozy mystery friends. It's me. Welcome to Cozy Up with a new episode of Cozy Mysteries. Our story begins with a wonderful piece of writing. It opens with a captivating line. By morning, the village had right away. We know there's something special about this morning. The rain has passed, and the village is breathing a sigh of relief. The word exhaled gives us a sense of the village being alive, almost like a person. It's a clever personification that sets a tranquil tone. And then the story continues to unfold like the petals of a flower, each detail adding another layer to the richness of the scene. Now, let's talk about the smell of baking bread. Can you imagine the aroma of yeast and rosemary wafting through the air? That's pure comfort right there. And who's our guide to this delightful world? A baker. We don't have a name for him yet, but he seems to be a part of the fabric of this village. Just like the smell of freshly baked bread, there are also many symbolic details here. For example, the dog's name, Mallow. Mallow, a type of flower, is often associated with gentleness and healing, which could hint at the kind of character we're dealing with. And the mention of dew on the tips of the ivy leaves. It's a beautiful touch. It's almost as if the story itself is sparkling with the freshness of a new day. This is such a rich setting. Notice how the author paints a picture of a village that's not just physically beautiful, but also emotionally resonant. Now, I want to pause here for a moment and talk about the atmosphere. It feels so serene, doesn't it? You can almost feel the coolness on your skin and hear the birds singing in the background. Now, this is something I love about cozy mysteries. They often transport us to places that are as comforting as they are intriguing. It's like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket or sipping hot cocoa. The village is our haven, a place where mysteries unfold, but where there's an underlying sense of security. Just as a good cup of tea warms your hands, the description of the village warms our hearts. And the pace of the story mirrors this feeling. Everything unfolds slowly, allowing us to savor each moment. We watch the children play, the animals rest, and the villagers go about their daily lives. It's a reminder to slow down and appreciate the small things. Just as a good mystery keeps us engaged, the story holds our attention. The descriptions are so vivid that we're eager to explore this world further. And as the story progresses, we find ourselves rooting for the characters and anticipating what might happen next. Now, let's pay attention to the emotions here. Do you notice a shift in the mood? After the rain, there's a sense of renewal, of hope. Even the air seems lighter. This is a significant moment in the story. It marks a transition. The rain, with its cleansing power, has washed away the old, making way for something new. Think of it like turning the page in an old book, beginning a new chapter. It's not just about the weather changing. It's about the emotions and the impact they have on the characters. Now let's meet one of the most enchanting characters in this piece, the old cobbler. He's a simple man, a cobbler who spends his days by the brook polishing boots. He's not just a craftsman. He's a storyteller. He talks to the boots as if they were old friends. And what does he see? He sees journeys. The cobbler understands the importance of every step, every mile, and he recognizes that even well-worn boots have stories to tell. Now, how does he fit into the overall story? Well, his presence adds a layer of wisdom and nostalgia. He's a link to the past, reminding us that every journey, like every boot, has a story worth telling. And then there's the girl with the She walks aimlessly, not because she's lost, but because she has the luxury of time. She's not in a hurry, and that's a beautiful statement in itself. It's a reminder to slow down, to appreciate the beauty around us, and to listen to the whispers of the wind. Her interaction with the violets is particularly touching. It shows a deep connection with nature, a respect for the wildflowers that mirrors the care she has for her own spirit. And then we come across the painter. He's an artist who finds inspiration in the aftermath of the rain. Instead of painting the rain itself, he focuses on its aftermath. The glistening rooftops, the worn stones, the gentle shadows. What does this tell us about him? It tells us that he sees beauty in the ordinary. He's not trying to capture the obvious, but the subtle nuances of the world around him. And this brings us to a pivotal point in the story. The rain, with its cleansing effect, has allowed the painter to see his subject in a new light. It's a metaphor for creativity, for finding inspiration in the everyday. And what about the ending? Oh, the ending is magical. When the villagers gather in the square, they do so without any grand plans. They just show up. They bring food, music, stories, and even lanterns to illuminate their shared space. It's a celebration of community, of the strength that comes from coming together. The simplicity of their gathering is what makes it so powerful. There's no need for elaborate plans or fancy decorations. Their presence, their shared history, and their love for their village are enough. The final lines are a testament to the transformative power of the rain. It's not just a meteorological event. It's a catalyst for change, a reminder of the beauty that can follow even the darkest storms. As I reflect on this piece, I can't help but smile. It's a heartwarming tale of a village that finds solace in the rhythm of the rain. It's a story that reminds us to slow down, to appreciate the beauty around us, and to find strength in our communities. Now, I want to hear from you. What did you enjoy most about our story today? How did it make you feel? And if you're a writer, what techniques did the author use that you found particularly effective? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let us continue to celebrate the magic of cozy mysteries and the profound impact they have on our lives. Until next time, happy reading and cozying up with a good book. When life feels heavy and dark, when it seems like the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders, what do? Where do you turn? Do you bury your face in work, hoping to drown out the noise? Or do you seek solace in those who understand your silent struggle? In today's story, we see a community coming together in the face of hardship. Their response to the darkness around them is both intriguing and heartwarming. So join us as we explore the depths of this narrative, looking at how these characters cope with their adversities and find strength and unity. The third day came cloaked in mist, not the kind that hides the world, but the kind that gently softens it. The village woke as if in a dream, cradled in a veil of silver breath. Everything, the rooftops, The branches, even the sheep in the high pastures looked like sketches drawn in charcoal and fog. From the bell tower at the village chapel, a single sound rose, a bell, deep and rounded, ringing out through the hush. Dong! It was not a call to prayer, nor an alarm. It was something older, something felt more than heard. A sound that made the birds pause in mid-song, and the wind briefly hold its breath. Sister Eloise, in her wool cloak, stood at the base of the bell tower, her hand resting on the ancient rope. She did not know why she had rung it only, that she had woken before dawn with the echo of that sound already in her chest, as if the bell had first rung within her, and only now reached the world. People heard it from their windows and doorways and fields. The painter paused the baker stilled, a roll half kneaded beneath his palms. Children looked up from their cereal bowls. No one spoke. No one asked why. They simply listened, and slowly, like characters in a tale they all half remembered, the villagers began to gather first in twos, then were drawn not by urgency but by something quiet and old, like a story they hadn't finished reading. This passage paints a vivid picture of a village awakening to an inexplicable sound. The mist-laden atmosphere creates a dreamlike setting, heightening the sense of mystery. The sound of the bell is not merely auditory, but deeply felt by Sister Eloise, who seems to have been guided by an inexplicable urge to ring it. This sets the tone for the story, hinting at a narrative where intuition and the unknown play a significant role. The mist swirled gently between them as they arrived in the square, huddled in shawls and scarves, boots damp with dew. There were no instructions, no announcement, but every soul there knew they were meant to be together. At the center of the square stood a cart, old and wooden, its wheels damp with rain from days before. It had been abandoned for years forgotten, but now it was dusted with a fine layer of mist and mystery, and on top of it lay the pair of boots the cobbler had left by the brook. Beside the boots sat a folded note. Sister Eloise stepped forward and opened it, reading aloud. "Let the soft sound lead you. Let the fog be a door, a silence, followed reverent, alive." Then the violinist stepped from the crowd. She was young, with a streak of silver in her hair that no one knew how she'd earned. Without a word, she lifted her bow and began to play. The music curled through the mist like a ribbon of warmth. It moved through the space between the villagers, wrapping gently around their hands, their hearts. And something strange happened. Then something subtle. The mist began to glow, not brightly, not like fire or lightning, but softly, like memory, like moonlight caught in lace. And from the glow, a narrow path revealed, itself winding away from the square, through the gardens and up toward the ridge that overlooked the hills. A path no one had ever seen before, not like this. In this part of the story, the villagers instinctively know they are supposed to be gathered. There's a collective understanding that guides their actions, suggesting a deep-rooted sense of community and shared purpose. The discovery of the note adds another layer to the enigma, directing them with poetic prose. The mention of the mist being a door hints at a metaphorical realm beyond the physical, implying that the villagers are about to embark on a journey that transcends the ordinary. The inclusion of the violinist in her music elevates the mood, suggesting a harmonious blend of spirituality in the arts. The mist's ethereal glow and the emergence of a hidden path add a touch of magic realism, signaling the entry into a realm where the boundaries of reality are subtly challenged. The cobbler stepped forward. He picked up the boots, smiled softly, and set them back down on the cart. "I think," he said, voice low, "they were meant for the first step, but not just for one person." And so it was that the villagers, still wrapped in mist and music, began to walk, not quickly, not with purpose, but with presence. Each step soft, each breath slow. The path took them past the baker's field, where lavender had just begun to bloom again after the rain. It wound near the old willow grove, where the air always smelled like old books and soil. And all along the way, the mist followed, not covering, but accompanying them, like a gentle guardian. The actions of the cobbler serve as a pivotal moment, bridging the tangible with the mystical. His decision to leave the boots behind signifies a collective journey, emphasizing that the path ahead is meant to be shared. The deliberate pace of the villagers underscores the significance of the journey, but in the mindful process of moving forward, the past familiarity yet unfamiliarity create a sense of continuity and change, indicating that the villagers are walking the path of life with renewed awareness. At the top of the ridge, they stopped. Below them, the valley stretched, wide and silver. The clouds above had opened slightly, revealing the faintest light like the sky was remembering how to shine. There, on the hilltop, stood something no one recalled building, a stone bench, simple and carved into it in weather-worn letters. What rains, softens, remains. The villagers sat in silence. A child nestled into her father's coat. A girl offered her last violet to the breeze, and the violinist, from where she stood near the edge of the hill, played one final note, a high, trembling sound, like a promise. Then the bell rang again. Once. Just once, but it echoed far across the fields, through the woods, even into the mountains beyond. It was not just a bell anymore. It was a reminder that the rain had come, that the mist had opened a door, that in softness, something sacred had stirred awake. And though the villagers soon returned to their cottages, their ovens, their looms and letters, a hush remained in them, a listening, as if part of them still walked the misted path above the ridge, still heard the bell in their hearts. This segment culminates with the villagers reaching a place of tranquility and revelation. The clearing, bathed in soft light, symbolizes hope and renewal. The inscription on the bench offers a profound message about resilience and the final note, played by the violinist, and the resonant peal of the bell serve as powerful symbols of awakening and remembrance. Despite their return to daily life, the villagers carry a transformative peace within them, suggesting that their perspective has shifted and their connection to their surroundings has deepened. That night, the cobbler placed a small candle in his window. The painter painted with new colors he couldn't name. Sister Eloise opened the chapel windows wide and let the cool night air whisper through the pews. And in the dreams of the village, the bell rang once more, not in mourning, nor grief, but as an invitation. The conclusion offers a glimpse into the lasting impact of the villagers' experience. Each individual finds their own way to express the transformation they've undergone. The cobbler, the painter, and Sister Eloise represent different aspects of the community coming together to heal and find beauty in their world. The reappearance of the bell in their dreams reinforces its significance as a guiding light, offering solace, hope, and a reminder to stay connected to their inner selves. In essence, the story explores the power of community, the guidance of intuition, and the healing touch of nature. It reminds us that in times of darkness and uncertainty, unity, inner wisdom, and the natural world can offer solace and clarity. Through their shared experience, the villagers discover a deeper connection with themselves, their community, and the world around them, suggesting that true strength often lies in embracing the unknown and finding harmony in simplicity. If you resonated with this tale, we invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your engagement helps us in our mission to bring more stories like this to life. Don't forget to support our work. Until next time, may your days be filled with moments of clarity and your paths illuminated by the wisdom of the ages. Hello, friend. Welcome to this story. The third morning dawned gray and thick with mist, heavy as a held breath. The rain had cleansed the air, and the world smelled of new beginnings. From her room above the apothecary, Sister Eloise watched the cobblestone streets fill with water. She pulled her shawl tighter against the chill and stepped out, joining the few souls brave enough to venture forth. With each step, the village revealed its secrets to her. Tiny mushrooms pushing up between cobblestones, a family of hedgehogs seeking shelter in the hollow of an old boot, a delicate spiderweb strung between two window boxes, catching the faintest hint of sunlight. All around her, life renewed itself. Unafraid and determined, she paused at the fountain in the center of the square, where three paths converged, and the villagers came to share news and stories. Above, the clouds had begun to pull apart, revealing streaks of blue. Even here, in the quietest corners of the village, there were signs of returning life. As the morning progressed, more villagers appeared, cautious but hopeful. The baker, balancing loaves on his arm, smiled at her from beneath his flour-dusted hat. The cobbler, holding a worn leather shoe, nodded his greeting without breaking his concentration. Soon, others joined them, drawn not just by necessity, but by something stirring within them, urging them toward the softening light. By noon, the square had filled with faces etched by worry and years. The painter stood before them, his hands shaking slightly. He unfolded a large sheet of linen on the ground and dipped his brush into a tin of crimson paint. Sister Eloise knew he would ask permission to paint them, to capture their struggles in colors both somber and strong. Instead, the painter looked at them with eyes full of understanding and asked, "Will you let me paint your shadows?" They understood. 4 days, the painter worked. Each day, he captured a part of the village and its people. The way the light fell through the leaves onto weathered hands gripping gnarled canes, the tilt of a head sheltering beneath a shawl, the faint curve of a smile in the midst of hardship. He painted until the sun sank below the hills and the sky bled colors of bruised plums and quiet embers. When he finished, he stood back, his face pale, and asked them to look. And as they did, something stirred within the square. Something born from shared vulnerability and the quiet strength that comes from acknowledging what troubles us. The second morning dawned cold and sharp, the sky a blade of pale gray honed to a fine edge. The wind tore through the village, rattling shutters and whistling between stone walls. No one ventured out. Those who dared peek from their windows saw mist swirling in eddies, tendrils reaching and grasping, swallowing sounds and hiding shapes. After the first day of cleansing rain, the world was cloaked in mist, in secrecy. Only 2 souls moved. Within its chilling embrace, the young apothecary and Sister Eloise, who ran the hospice on the hill. Though miles apart, they shared a purpose. The apothecary ventured out to gather herbs hardened by the frost, each leaf and root a quiet promise of healing teas and salves. Reaching the highest branches, his arms aching, he thought of the old tales about this mountain, how its peak brushed against the clouds and the trees sang of forgotten magic. Was that why he felt such determination course through him? Because somewhere deep inside, he knew this day would come again. Meanwhile, Sister Eloise climbed the hill to the hospice, where the dying came to rest. In the stillness of the rooms, she spoke to those who lingered, asking questions meant not to receive answers, but to weave the tapestry of their lives one last time. When the sky wept tears of cleansing rain, she found the strength to keep going. The storm lasted 3 days. On the 3rd morning, as dawn bled into twilight, the mist parted slightly, revealing a sky washed clean and roads leading away from the village, beckoning with a sliver of light. The first morning arrived on wings of wind and rain. In the village nestled below the mountain, it chased away the summer heat and washed the slate roofs till they gleamed. Sheets of water cascaded down the slopes, carrying seeds and whispers to the cobblestone streets below. In the square, the villagers huddled beneath the porch of the old fountain, watching the storm with a mixture of relief and apprehension. They'd welcomed the rain, but now they sensed its power, raw and untamed. A few children dared venture out, splashing in the shallow pools and letting the rain dye their hair with its earthy scent. The storm's fury soothed the land, driving away the oppressive heat and filling hollows and hearts with life-giving moisture. But it also brought hardship, tumbling dry stone walls and drenching homes with unexpected leaks. When the lightning cracked the sky, they scattered, seeking shelter and solace. Some found it in the time-worn church, its spires straining toward the heavens, while others found it in each other, sharing stories and smiles. In the brief intervals between the thunder, the storm raged on, a primal force reminding them of nature's relentless rhythm. Yet within the chaos, a young man stood mesmerized, watching the torrents carve new paths, reshape the landscape and wash away the old. He felt a kinship with the storm, a sense of wild freedom that resonated deep within him. His name was Lewis, and he'd always felt out of place in the village, stifled by the weight of unspoken expectations. The storm mirrored his own turmoil, a tempest of emotions brewing silently within. As the night deepened and the rain intensified, he found himself drawn to the heart of the storm, ready to face whatever it had in store. And so the storm continued, shaping destinies and washing away complacency. The villagers, shaken but resolute, began the slow task of rebuilding, carrying within them the echoes of the rain. This story was inspired by a piece of art that doesn't exist. There was a picture I saw somewhere, but I can't find it anywhere. So this is my attempt to get close to what I imagine it was. A rainy day in the village. So there was a day when the rain was supposed to fall, but it didn't. What's gonna happen? Well, we'll see. So we're gonna go from morning, which is usually the wettest part of the day in these stories, and end up at night. So let's start off with the morning. It was a Tuesday when the sky forgot how to rain, not with violence or dryness, but with silence, a gentle, strange stillness. The villagers rose to their morning rhythms as always, the clatter of spoons and bowls, the smell of fresh bread, the slow shuffle of feet on cobblestone. But outside, the sky held a peculiar hush, pale and vast. It bore the weight of something missing. No dew, no mist, no echo of the soft pattering they had grown used to. The air felt paused, as if the world was waiting for something it wasn't Tisha would come. Sister Eloise was the first to speak it aloud. While tending to her rosemary, "The rain has forgotten us," she said softly, not in fear, but with reverence, as if the absence itself was a visitor to be greeted. The children noticed too. Mira stood barefoot by the brook, where usually water trickled and sang. Now it was still almost respectful. She bent down, touched the cool stones, and whispered, "She's sleeping. The sky's dreaming about something else today." The absence of rain did not feel like loss. It felt like a turning page. The painter sat on his porch, staring at the blank canvas before him. Normally he painted to catch what had just passed the golden sheen of wet rooftops, the silver fog that clung to hills, the long shadows drawn by candlelight and puddles. But today he did not paint, he watched. Waited, felt. Because sometimes what isn't there speaks louder than what is. In the square, the violinist played a melody with no rhythm, just long, wandering notes that fell like petals into the air. And the villagers, gathering without invitation, simply listened. They did not ask for rain. They did not fear the drought. They understood now. Even silence has something to say. By mid-morning, the cobbler found Mira near the chapel steps, sketching circles in the dirt with her heel. "It's the day the village rests," she told him matter-of-factly. "Even the sky needs a breath." He sat beside her and nodded. "A breath," he repeated. A pause between verses. The door behind the old cottage, the one they'd unlocked with the star-shaped key, was still open. Several villagers descended once again into the chamber of echoes and memory. But something was different. A new letter had appeared, unmarked, unfolded, pinned to the wall with a twig of wild mint. When the rain pauses, listen to what remains. The echo is not less than the sound. It is the sound remembering itself. You are not without the rain. You are the ones who carry what it gave. They read it aloud, then read it again in silence, a third time in their hearts. The day stretched forward gently. Without rain, the village's colors, deepened greens, grew warmer, the browns of wood and stone richer. Laundry flapped slowly on lines. Cats stretched out in doorways, and the sky, though empty of clouds, held a curious kind of depth, as if it had simply stepped back to let the village hear its own heartbeat. And it could be heard in the soft clink of mugs, in the careful sweep of the broom across the chapel steps, in the lullaby a mother hummed without words beside the open window. There were sounds too quiet to notice on any ordinary day, but this day wasn't ordinary. It was the day the rain didn't come, and somehow it felt like a gift. That evening, no lanterns were lit in the square. Instead, the villagers lay blankets on the cool stones and watched the bare sky change colors, lavender to soft rose, then to the deep indigo of velvet sleep. Someone brought out a flute, another, a book of forgotten poems. Mira, sitting with her knees drawn up beneath her chin, whispered into the air, "Thank you for the quiet." The wind shifted, almost a breeze, warm and strange, passed over the stones, and in its wake, a sound. Not thunder, not drizzle, but a single drop, falling, landing, echoing. A second followed, then three, then many. Not a storm, not a soaking, just a soft, unexpected rain, as if the sky had heard them listen again, chose to answer gently. The villagers didn't scatter, didn't run for cover. They stayed exactly where they were, letting the rain fall on their faces, their fingers, their open hearts, because on the day the rain didn't come, they had remembered something deeper. That rain does not always need to fall to be present, that its memory lingers in roots, in stone, in skin, that they, too, had become part of the rain's rhythm, a living echo of softness and pause, of noticing and belonging, of walking slowly through the world with open eyes. And that's all I got. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want more stories like this, you can check out the rest of my channel. If you like it, you can hit subscribe. Leave a comment. If you hate it, well, I guess this button works too. But please tell me why in the comments below. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. From the mouth of the river, deep in the heart of the wood, there flowed tales, as old as the current. Once upon a time, there flowed a tale of a village caught in a slumber so deep, their breath slowed to the rhythm of falling rain. Her days were filled with the scent of drying herbs, the feel of well-worn linen, an evening spent listening to tales by the firelight, tales of mischievous pixies, grumpy trolls, and brave knights who ventured beyond the familiar hills. She slipped out of her cottage, her cloak pulled tight against the drizzle. Its window glowed warmly, invitingly, like a beacon in the grayness. Hesitantly, Mira approached. The closer she got, the more the glow enveloped her, filling her with a sense of peace she couldn't remember feeling. With a deep breath, Mira began her ascent, each step echoing in the stillness. As she climbed, the air grew warmer, lighter, carrying the scent of old books and woods. She could sense, but not see the owner of the house, as if their spirit lingered, watching, waiting. The world is full of stories, little one, and each drop of rain carries a tale. Are you willing to listen? Myra, her heart pounding with excitement, whispered, "Yes, I am ready." Drawn by an invisible thread, Mira approached the table and gently lifted the quill. As soon as her fingertips brushed a feather, images flashed through her mind. Vivid and real, she saw rolling hills, sparkling rivers, and a sky brimming with stars, all connected by a silvery thread. This seemed to pulse with life. Read it, little one, and let the tales nourish your soul. But a repository of the village's soul, a place where memories were kept safe and dreams took flight. The rain continued its rhythmic dance on the roof, and the wind sang its ancient songs, weaving tales of a world both magical and real. The stories had awakened something within her, a desire to share their magic with others. She knew she couldn't keep these tales to herself, a place where stories bloomed like wildflowers, and the wisdom of ages echoed in the rustling leaves. She had to find a way to bring the spirit of the house and its stories back to the village, to remind everyone that their history was not just a collection of memories, but a living, breathing part of their present. Inside the house, Mira delved deeper into the stories, her heart swelling with a love for the village and its people. She felt a connection to something greater than herself, a sense of belonging that had always been a part of her but had remained hidden. With trembling hands, Mira opened the book. The pages were blank, yet as she turned them, images flooded her mind. Mira knew it was time to return. With a heavy heart, she closed the book, its stories now a part of her own. As she descended the stairs, the room filled with light once more, bathing everything in its warm glow. She saw families gathered around tables laden with food, children playing in fields of wildflowers, and the village elders sharing their wisdom under the shade of ancient trees. Finally, she reached the top, where a single door stood ajar. offering a glimpse of a room bathed in the same inviting glow that had drawn her to the house. The rain welcomed her with open arms, enveloping her in its cool embrace. As the tip touched the surface, the room exploded with light. When she looked down, she saw words forming on the table, swirling and shifting like smoke. Every evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she would gather the villagers around her in the town square. She wove their shared history into tales that sparkled with magic and wisdom. The house with the always lit window became a symbol of hope and remembrance. And the rain, the rain continued to fall, carrying the whispers of the world and the stories of those who listened closely. "Seek the heart of the village," they whispered, "where stories sleep and dreams take flight." As she peered into the cracks, the glimmer transformed into light, illuminating rows upon rows of books. Each book seemed to thrum with energy, as if waiting for someone to read their stories. One book in particular caught her eye. Its cover had no title, and its pages seemed to shimmer like moonlight on water. In the silence that followed, Mira heard a voice, soft yet clear as a mountain stream. Mira blinked, unsure if what she had seen and heard were real or figments of her imagination. "Fear not, little one. The darkness is but a pause between stories. Open your eyes and see." Tentatively, Mira opened her eyes. The room was still dark, but now she noticed a faint glimmer coming from the cracks between the bookshelves. The sudden shift from vibrant light to pitch-black darkness left her disoriented. She could feel her way back to the door, but the sightlessness unnerved her, amplifying the sound of her own heartbeat. For those who follow the rain, a tale awaits, a story woven in whispers and dreams. Mira, drawn by an unseen force, reached out and touched the rough-hewn stone. As her fingers made contact, the world around her shimmered. The rain intensified, drumming a quickening beat on the roof above her head, and the glow from the window seemed to pulse in time with the rhythm. As she walked, the rhythm of the raindrops seemed to match her heartbeat, guiding her steps along the winding path that led to the heart of the village. For Mira, the world outside their valley was a realm of imagination, a place that existed only in the shared breaths and firelight shadows. You see, at the edge of the village, just beyond the mossy wall, where the ivy grows thick, not just any rain, mind you, but a rain that whispered secrets to the moss, danced with the falling leaves, and sang ancient songs to the river. It was a rain that carried the scent of distant lands and echoed with tales of faraway seas. The room was filled with shelves, laden with books bound in leather and dusted with what looked like gold. In the center stood a table crafted from a single slab of wood, and upon it rested a quill pen made of a feather and an ink bottle stoppered with a crystal. On the far wall was a window seat piled high with cushions and blankets, inviting anyone to curl up and dream. Something in its rhythm stirred Myra's soul. She felt a pull, a yearning to understand the language of the falling drops, and the lilacs bloomed twice a year. There stood a small stone house with an upstairs window that was never dark. No one remembered exactly who had built the house, or when. It was simply there, as if the rain had once carved it into the hillside, like a secret meant to stay gentle. The villagers called it the house with the always lit window. At night its golden glow spilled out softly, even when the rest of the village lay quiet. The glow did not flicker like a candle, nor hum like a lamp. It pulsed slowly, like a lullaby made of light. Some said a poet lived there, others said it was empty, and that the house remembered how to light itself. A few believed it was the rain's home when it wasn't falling. No one dared to knock, not out of fear, but out of respect for some things are not meant to be entered, only noticed. In this village, nestled between whispering willows and a sky thick with stories, there lived Mira. Then one morning, the rain came. One afternoon, as the rain painted silver streaks down the window pane, Mira decided to follow its song. There, nestled between a bakery, with a chimney that puffed out stories, and a cobbler's shop, where laughter echoed like a well-tuned drum, stood the old stone house. As she stood before the house, the rain seemed to hush, as if listening intently. Suddenly, the door creaked open, revealing a staircase that spiraled upwards, beckoning her to climb. Hesitantly, She pushed a door open and stepped inside. As Mira explored, she felt a presence, a consciousness that permeated the room, welcoming her, guiding her. Suddenly, a voice echoed in her ears, not unkind, but full of ancient wisdom. With a gentle nudge from the unseen presence, Mira dipped the quill into the ink bottle. As quickly as they appeared, the words vanished, the room plunged into darkness, and the voice faded into silence. Sensing her unease, the voice echoed once more, softer this time, as if consoling a frightened child. With newfound determination, Mira moved closer to the shelves. As she reached for it, the voice guided her. This book holds the memories of the village, its joys, sorrows, and the stories that bind its people together. Through these visions, Mira understood that the house was not just a dwelling. As the hours passed, the light outside began to fade, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. Stepping back into the rain, Mira realized she was no longer the same. From that day on, Mira became the storyteller of the village. And so it goes. The tale of the village nestled between the whispering willows and the rain-filled sky. It's rare for books to stay in our minds long after we finish reading them. More rare still for those books to do so without any plot or characters. The House in the Cerulean Sea is such a book. It's a slim volume about a social worker who visits an orphanage for magical children. While it has engaging characters, it's not plot-driven on the surface. This is a fantasy novel with whimsical elements. The 6 children at the orphanage are each unique and memorable, showcasing a range of personalities and magical abilities. Their interactions with Linus and the other characters bring humor and warmth to the story. Moreover, the novel touches upon important themes of found family and chosen relationships. The bonds that form between Linus and the children are both heartwarming and inspiring. In a world where they've been marginalized and misunderstood, they find solace and acceptance in each other's company. The theme of found family extends beyond the orphanage walls, as Linus encounters individuals from all walks of life who challenge his preconceived notions and offer him kindness and support. Children have superpowers. The protagonist can teleport. An evil organization seeks to exploit these abilities for nefarious purposes. Yet the novel feels deeply rooted in reality. The narrative flows smoothly, drawing the reader into Linus's journey of self-discovery and personal growth. Additionally, the diverse group of magical children represents a range of differences and challenges, promoting a message of embracing diversity. The world building is imaginative, yet understated. While the novel is set in a fantastical realm, the focus remains primarily on the characters and their relationships. World building serves to enhance the story rather than dominate it. One aspect that could have been improved is the pacing. At times the novel felt like it lingered a bit too long on mundane details or internal monologues. However, this did allow for deeper character development. Prejudice is a prominent theme. Linus faces skepticism and hostility from his colleagues due to his sexuality and past mistakes. The other characters also grapple with prejudice based on their magical abilities. With its enchanting premise, memorable characters, and thought-provoking exploration of social issues, this book is highly recommended for readers seeking a heartwarming and emotionally resonant story. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more book reviews. When Linus first arrives at the orphanage, he meets a group of children who've been ostracized and feared by society. They're subjected to harmful stereotypes and treated as disposable assets. The novel confronts these prejudices head-on, challenging readers to examine their own biases and question societal norms. I particularly appreciated the nuanced portrayal of Arthur, a character who could have easily been written as a caricature. He's initially portrayed as irresponsible and unhinged, but as Linus learns more about his past and his relationship with the children, Arthur becomes a compelling figure. His actions, initially viewed as reckless, are revealed to be motivated by a deep sense of love and protection. The novel does unshy away from depicting the toll that prejudice and fear have taken on him and the lengths he has gone to safeguard the children under his care. Additionally, the subtle exploration of grief and trauma is handled with sensitivity. Linus carries the weight of past mistakes and personal tragedies, while the children at the orphanage each bear their own emotional scars. The novel portrays the lasting impact of trauma and the healing power of love and acceptance. However, it does so without resorting to melodrama or easy resolutions. There's no mystery or conflict. Rather, the novel lingers around themes of found family, prejudice, and bureaucratic corruption. Its strength lies in its quiet moments and ideas, which stayed with me long after the final page. First, I'd like to thank NetGalley and the publisher for providing me with an advance copy of this book in exchange for an honest review. And let's get started. Linus Baker leads a life of quiet desperation working in the department in charge of magical youth. He follows rules, abides by expectations, and suppresses any personal ambitions. His life changes when he's given an assignment that sounds like travel to an island orphanage housing 6 uniquely powerful magical children. Concerned about the welfare of these kids, Linus sets out to assess whether they should be relocated. Once there, however, he begins to bond with the children and learns that their caretaker, Arthur Parnassus, is reluctant to let them leave. Over the course of the novel, Linus faces prejudice from the department, forms deep connections with the children, and comes to appreciate the wisdom of Mr. Penance. Told from Linus's point of view, this book feels like a quiet domestic drama set against the backdrop of a fantastical world. If this is your first time here, you may recognize T.J. Klune's work from his popular series The Green Creek Chronicles or the novella Under the Whispering Door. The House in the Cerulean Sea is his most mature work to date. It's charming, and fans of magical realism will find much to enjoy here. What I liked best about the novel is the understated exploration of prejudice and bureaucracy. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the supporting characters. They're delightful. In terms of writing style, Klune's prose is engaging and accessible. As for representation, the book features a gay protagonist and explores themes of acceptance and inclusion. Overall, The House in the Cerulean Sea is a captivating novel that tackles important themes of prejudice, acceptance, and the power of love and found family. Once upon a time, there was a clock tower in the center of a village, old, lopsided, and shy beneath its moss-dappled shingles. Its bell hadn't rung in years, its hands forever, paused at 7 minutes past 3. Not with a tick, but with a chime. It was soft at first, a single tone, as round and warm as a yawn. Then another, echoing through the mist, as if the sky itself had struck the bell. But no one minded. The village preferred time measured by other things, the scent of bread from the bakery, the geese returning overhead, the hush before a storm, low, long, tender. And the village listened to their own memories, to their unspoken thoughts, to the spaces that never needed words. The next day, it did not chime. The sun returned. The clock stood still. But now, when the first drops fell, people would pause, turn to the tower, and whisper, "It's time to remember." People emerged from doorways, blinking in the gray light, listening with tilted heads. Children pressed closer to the windows of their homes. It keeps the moments the sky could not bear to lose. Mira sat beside the great wheel of gears. She did not touch anything. She simply listened and realized each chime was not from the clock. It was from the sky. The rain was ringing the bell, asking the village to feel something again. The baker stood with her flour-covered hands clasped over her heart. The tailor wiped his eyes before anyone could see, and Mira climbed the clock tower. The steps creaked like forgotten lullabies. The air smelled of rust, dust, and wet ivy. She reached the top and found the bell swinging slowly, stirred not by wind, but by a single glass pendant hanging beside it, a droplet-shaped charm catching the rain. And yet, on a pale gray morning when the drizzle softened the world, the clock stirred. Mira was sitting by the fountain when she heard it. She looked up. Others stopped, 2 heads tilting, breaths held. It was raining, yes, but the sound wasn't a storm's growl or a thunder's boast. It was a memory, a sound that felt like being 10 years old, holding someone's hand, and waiting for something wonderful to begin. The clock tower had not ticked back to life. Its hand still pointed stubbornly at the same forgotten moment. But when the rain fell, the chimes began. Not every minute, not by hour or rule, but by feeling. Each note seemed to rise from the clouds and fall from the bell like a sigh. At first, only a few had noticed the music, but as the notes swelled, so did the audience. Inside, a tiny scroll floated. She opened it with trembling fingers. It read, "This clock does not keep time." That evening, when the clouds darkened to a deeper shade of blue, the clock let out one final tone. The end. This piece was inspired by a prompt that starts out rather simple, yet leads to a bit of a rabbit hole. The prompt was simply rain. I envisioned a woman named Madame Leora, someone whose age was more than just a number, but reflected a life lived, a soul nurtured by the rhythm of the rain and the whispers of memories carried on its drops. She was the guardian of this tea house, its traditions and its secrets, a gentle drizzle that encouraged Madame Eso to open the tin and brew the forgotten tea. This expansion came in the form of the tea house, becoming a gathering place for villagers. The school teacher represented knowledge and the passing of time. This transformation came when the villagers began leaving behind objects imbued with their personal histories, such as the locket, the button, and the pressed violet. These objects became tangible representations of their inner journeys, allowing them to express their emotions and memories in a way that transcended words. Rather than reveal E's identity, I chose to build a sense of wonder and speculation around the character. The idea that E might be more than a person, perhaps a representation of the rain or a personification of the tea house itself, adds a touch of magic realism to the story. This realization came when Madame Leora looked out the window and noticed the rain had stopped. The shift in weather served as a reminder of the preciousness of each moment and the importance of fully experiencing life's journey. The image of the villagers gathered around the table, sharing their stories and connecting with one another, emphasizes the power of community and the importance of human connection. I hope readers will find solace and reflection in this story and will leave feeling a renewed appreciation for the magic that exists in the everyday. The final line, "You are still here," serves as a reminder to appreciate the present moment and to find solace in the simple act of just being. The beekeeper's daughter brought a touch of whimsy and connection to nature. This discovery added a sense of wonder and heightened the emotional impact of the story. The tea house, once seen as a mere shelter from the rain, is revealed to have a life of its own, a guardian of memories and a catalyst for healing. This concept personified the rain, imbuing it with a sense of character and purpose. The rain becomes more than just water falling from the sky. It becomes a silent observer, a collector of memories, and a bringer of healing. Each of their stories intertwined with the main plot, enriching the narrative and highlighting the far-reaching effects of the tea. As word spread about the miraculous effects of the tea, I created a cast of villagers, each representing different aspects of the community and carrying their own burdens and memories. Their arrival brought a sense of communal healing and revelation to the narrative. It became a place where the villagers could confront their past, heal, and move forward. The objects also played a symbolic role, representing the various stages of the healing process. The locket, for instance, might symbolize a time of love and joy, while the button could represent a period of work or duty. The pressed violet might embody a moment of remembrance or loss. Each object carried its own emotional weight, adding depth and complexity to the story. The rain served as the trigger, urging her to confront the past and discover what lay hidden within the aged leaves. Through her, we would experience the profound connection between the rain, the tea house, and the people it touched. And as I sat with that word, thinking of my favorite places where rain falls, I realized I wanted this story to be about a place of solace, some place where rain was more than just precipitation, but was woven into the very fabric of the space. Enter a tea. But this wasn't just any tea. It served as a guide, an instruction manual for how and why to brew the ancient tea, giving a sense of mystery and anticipation to the narrative. Written in delicate script, the letter hinted at a deeper meaning behind the tea, suggesting that it held not just a taste of the past, but also a key to unlocking forgotten memories, or perhaps even a connection to the writer. It was a place imbued with history, with magic, where rain didn't just fall. It settled, it listened, it left things behind. This idea of the tea house became a character in its own right, much like the rain itself, an entity with its own personality and role to play in the story. The next step was creating a protagonist who would serve as our point of entry into this world, to craft the heart of the story. I decided to use the metaphor of tea as a conduit between the past and the present. Each cup brewed would be more than just a beverage. It would become a vessel for forgotten emotions, half-remembered stories, and the echoes of lives once lived. This led me to introduce the concept of the tin containing 37-year-old tea leaves. It symbolized the depth of the tea house's history and the potential for healing and revelation that lay dormant within. The rusted tin, much like the tea within, represented the passage of time and the layers of history that the tea house had absorbed over the decades. The inclusion of the letter added a layer of intrigue and purpose to the story. As the story progressed, I wanted to create a catalyst that would set the main plot in motion. This came in the form of rain. Once the main plot was brewing, I wanted to introduce an element that would expand the scope of the story. The cobbler, for example, symbolized the grounded practicality of the village. As the story moved toward its climax, I wanted to emphasize the transformative power of the tea. Through these objects, the tea house took on a new significance as a repository of collective memory and emotion. I decided to introduce the concept of the enigmatic writer of the letter, as a way to add a layer of mystery and intrigue to the narrative. The revelation that the tea house possessed a sentient quality came as a surprise to both the characters and the reader, introducing an element of magical realism to the narrative. As the story neared its conclusion, I wanted to highlight the importance of cherishing the present moment. The idea that the rain had been listening, carefully collecting stories and experiences from the world below, added a touch of whimsy and magic to the narrative. The ending of the story is left open to interpretation, allowing the reader to reflect on the deeper meaning and significance of the events. In crafting this piece, I aimed to create a world where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, where a simple cup of tea can unlock a treasure trove of emotions and memories. It began with a flicker on the edge of the square. Not lightning, not fire, but a lantern old and copper, bound swinging slightly on a crooked post. No one remembered placing it there, and yet there it was, burning with a quiet blue flame. Not warm, not cold, just still. The rain had fallen gently all morning, the kind that blurred edges and softened footsteps. A round chamber, walls lined with lanterns, each glowing a different shade. Some flickered with gold, others with deep violet or soft green. Each one pulsed faintly, as if responding to the breath in the room. And in the center, a pedestal with a single blank book. The blue lantern settled gently above the pedestal and dimmed. But I wanted to explore what happens when you don't neatly tie everything up in a bow. Life doesn't always have perfect endings. Sometimes it's the journey, the moments, the feelings along the way that matter most. And what do you do with those moments when they come back to you? How do you handle them? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, I'd love to hear about any meaningful objects or experiences you've encountered that have had a profound impact on your life. Your stories might inspire others, the way my experiences inspired this tale. Don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the enchanting world of storytelling. Until next time, may your days be filled with light, laughter, and the magic of living each day like a new adventure. Do you hold on tight or let them drift away? That's for you to decide. Mira stepped forward. Inside the book, one line had appeared. Each light is a promise left behind in rain. The villagers began to understand. These were moments. During my travels, I encountered many types of lanterns, each with its unique meaning and history. In this story, the lanterns serve as vessels for memories, emotions, and promises. Much like the villagers in the story, we often carry our experiences, both joyful and painful, silently. The lanterns symbolize the weight of these unspoken feelings and the relief that comes from finally giving them voice. The colors of the lanterns are also carefully chosen to evoke specific emotions and themes. The blue flame represents introspection, healing, and the ethereal. It signifies a connection to the spiritual realm and the power of dreams. The flickering gold lanterns symbolize warmth, connection, and the passage of time. They represent the importance of human relationships and the fleeting nature of life. The deep violet and soft green lanterns represent the mysteries of the universe and the beauty found in nature. They encourage the characters and readers to embrace the unknown and appreciate the subtle wonders of the world. Lanterns lit by old promises. I'll wait for you. The natural environment mirrors the emotional landscape of the characters, reflecting their introspective journeys and the transformative power of the lanterns. The elements of rain, wind, and fog symbolize the passage of time, the interconnectedness of all things, and the power of nature to heal and guide. I forgive you. I remember. I will not let go. They had not been lost, only tucked away, waiting for the wind to carry someone back. Each villager stood before a lantern. Some glowed brighter in their presence. Others dimmed, offering space for silence. And then, without instruction, each person began to write in the book. Not names, not dates, just feelings. A sentence, a thought, a whisper they needed to let breathe again. Mira Sentry read, "I didn't know. I was still waiting for her to come home." When the last word was written, the lanterns pulsed once, then rose. One by one, they floated out the open door and into the mist, scattering over the village like stars returning to sky. And as they rose, something shifted. The rain paused, only for a moment. And in that quiet, the villagers heard a sound. Not thunder, not wind, but a deep, contented sigh from the earth herself, as if the village, at last, had By afternoon, a breeze began playful patient, pulling, and the lantern followed. It did not fall, or roll, or tumble. Day drifted past windows, hovered near doorways, danced above the tea house, and when one stopped by your side, it was said you could whisper to it just a thought, just a feeling, and it would carry it gently to wherever it was needed. It floated, detached itself like a sigh, rope unraveling with a grace of memory letting go. I was walking around Kyoto in Japan when I came across this little town. It was rainy and foggy, and this lantern appeared above me. I felt this overwhelming sense of peace, and I thought, maybe this is what it means to be alone. You find beauty and comfort in unexpected places. I wrote about it in my journal. Fast forward a few years, and I'm writing fantasy novels, and I found that entry in my journal. I started to imagine, what if these moments, these feelings could be bottled, preserved, and sent back to the people who needed them most. And that's how this story was born. Up it went, hovering chest high, then drifting down the cobbled path as if drawn by some unseen current. The villagers followed, not out of fear, but instinct, as though they knew this light, had seen it in dreams, perhaps guiding them through some ancient fog. Mira walked near the front, her umbrella folded at her side, rain pooling on her shoulders. The lantern bobbed beside her like a patient guide. It turned left at the baker's alley, paused briefly at the willow tree that wept even when the sky did not, then moved toward the edge of the village, where the hills grew quieter and moss took root in every forgotten stone. There, on a path, nearly swallowed by ivy, the lantern stopped. It hovered above a patch of overgrowth. Mira stepped forward and brushed the leaves aside. Beneath them, a hidden stairwell, stone, slick, ancient, leading downward into a silence no one had touched in years. A place erased, not by time, but by tenderness. The lantern descended first. Its blue light didn't illuminate the walls. It revealed them. Paintings, letters, etched in ash, symbols of wind and rain, and windows lit from within. Every step held the hush of a story no one had dared to tell aloud. At the bottom, a door made of clouded glass. No handle, no lock, only a brass plate engraved with words, almost swallowed by lichen, Only those who walk with the rain may enter. Mira reached out and touched it with wet fingers. The door breathed open. Inside was not a room, but a memory made solid. From that night onward, the lanterns would return with every soft storm. The story of the lanterns in the rain village is inspired by an actual event that happened to me. It's a true story. The ending may seem a bit abrupt. Usually I save my endings for last. In Japanese culture, lanterns play a significant role in storytelling and remembrance. The setting of the story, a village nestled amidst hills and shrouded in mist, adds to the tale's enchanting atmosphere. Now I want to hear from you. What lantern would you light? What color? And what feeling or memory would it represent for you?